What's everyone doing? Happy weekend. Sunday. What's up, Jason? Huh. Oop. This is lined up. Nice. Cool. All right. Are we bullish? I don't know. How many times did we win the war this weekend? What's up, G-Wagon? Hey, Jen. I'm bullish on VIX. All right. Valid. Although it's up quite a lot already. You know, double where it normally is. So that might be something to consider. I'm not saying it's the only factor, but it's definitely a factor. We had a nice little bounce into close on Friday. But I'll write about SPX tonight, right? I think. Oh, it's such a good meme for you too, Popcorn. What did I do with it? There we go. So, good afternoon. I did see the Japanese PM being weird at the White House. She's a kooky lady. Seems to be that Trump's having about as hard a time pulling out as he did when Barron was made. What's up, Kendra? I'm right on time? I feel like I'm late. Well, maybe. I don't know. What time is it in Europe? It's late for you guys. Which way is the Magic the Gathering market headed? I have no idea. You look exceedingly bearishly smug today. What? No. No. Was my volatility skewed to the downside? Magic's inverting the market somehow. So you're saying I should sell all the cards I won for free online? Okay. You didn't have to convince me. No, no. Generally, Magic doesn't do well. Like Magic card, like singles prices don't do well in the event of a downturn, like an actual economic downturn. How'd you win them? I don't know. I play the like win a box events on MTGA. I have a fuck ton of boxes. Which kind of feels like paying for them with extra steps, but it's fun to win stuff. All right, give me tickers. Let's do this. Are there enough people in here? Probably. Yeah, that's enough. Start giving me tickers. Fixie's not a ticker. That's just asking me about the carry trade. Don't ask me about this is for equities. Don't ask me about fucking. Don't try to subvert the conversation by turning it into a macro conversation and saying things like gold and silver and TLT. LMT and BA. See, these are good tickers. LMT, BA. What else do we got? ZOM, DVN, hymns. Okay. NVDA, PBR, UNH and Apple. Ew. F-Jet. Tesla. Yeah, we could look at Lonza. No options data on it though. SMCI. Campbell Soup. Microsoft. No, Microsoft's fine. And it's probably going to be roughly the same as Apple and NVIDIA, but criminals. Greed. Intel. XLE is just energy. UEC. You're just asking me about uranium. No commodities. I have a reason for this. Why GME? It looks so boring right now. All right, fine. Fine, Kendra. Because it's you. The reason being, I have to talk about all this shit over on Volstars like 30 minutes after I end this stream. So this is going in Volstars and Pickles Picks. I'm not going to do it 3 times a day. I can't deal with the monotony. No, AMC is just under $1 because all the shareholders' value got diluted out. What did they expect? I don't know. If only people tried to warn them. SoFi? Of all the banks you could pick, you want to pick just the worst one. No shout out for your favorite. Wait, what did you do? Did you do a thing? DBA? Oh, I didn't see that. Yeah, we could take a look at Riley. Did you buy it at $3? If you did, awesome. Private equity blow up? We're probably getting close to a lot of pressure. I mean, it's a huge market, but obviously the current macroeconomic conditions aren't good for it. Everybody's trying to get retail buyers to come in and provide liquidity. Yeah. Yeah, retail back liquidity providers. You mean they're looking for retail liquidity providers so they can sell? It is a lot of tickers. We'll get them covered. Shouldn't take too long. Get a small stretch and we'll get going. All right. Let's do this. LMT. Got a bit of a drop in gamma and delta. GN moving up towards spot. DN falling off. Gamma max is moving out of the money. Okay. So short-term positioning's been kind of bearish. Looks like supports are down at 620. And then like here. It's a little bit of upside resistance at 35. A pretty clean breakout above that. This is choppier. Give me 1 second. Okay, so that's kind of the structure here. Fairly choppy around spot between 620 to 635. Could break either way, but we know momentum's bearish. So is the positioning being added. Upside breakout above 35 out to 50. Downside breaks down to 605 or 600 on a loss of 620. So this would be your bull and bear confirms. So bear, bull. Then we can go look and see how things are positionally set up. Boom, 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 boom. 30-day skew lessened a little bit. IVs are going up. 10-day skew is continuing to steepen. Historic vol is just tanking though, so probably more volatility shorting. Just slightly bearish, and it also looks like there's a pretty big out of the money spike in IV at 620 and at 610, so the downside looks a little bit more likely right now. There's enough gamma to fall off of the chain to the downside that the rest of the supportive gamma looks like it could collapse. So I would say probably biased to the bear side. So slightly bearish. Confirm 600 under 620. God damn it. So for LMT. Could you do PCT instead of FJET? Sure. I'll add AVGO. This is a lot. I'll see if I can get to the rest, Paul. I already put DBA on there. I'm going to say it 15 more times. All right. BA's kind of bottomed out. Price actions most likely mean reverting back towards 200. Looks like a lot of puts out of the money. Those are probably sold. Fell under VN though, which is a little bit more bearish. Things started to turn around a little bit on Friday. That's not a great look. Let me see what skew looks like. Still a little negative. Historic vol is kind of elevated relative to implied. I think BA is like set up for a bounce. I don't like that it's back under VN. I mean, obviously that's not a great look. But back above 200, I can probably break out towards like 220. If it got out above 220, it could really move. 250. That would take some time though. I would say in the short term, 200 bull confirm. But getting chopped up in the negative delta sounds rough. Yeah, I don't know if I wouldn't want to trade the downside here unless gamma continued to expand below spot. You could watch the gamma curve and see if it moves down, but there's really just not much more gamma that can be added to the downside. And the volatility return premium's pretty negative, so people are encouraged to sell puts here, which it looks like they're already doing pretty heavily. These are probably mostly sold puts, if not also the 200. Skews are kind of starting to turn around, not in a way that makes me confident this is going to move up immediately, but I would say the general direction over time is slightly up, so probably like 14 DTE or greater. At a minimum, and then I'd be targeting like the 200 to 220 range. Maybe you could take advantage of the negative premium and like sell puts to buy calls if you expect this to turn around. But I would say that if I did that, it would be negated on a failure of the retest at 200. So any retest of 200 that didn't break out, I would want to close the sold puts and the calls. Or just close out the whole position. But this looks to be the most advantageous given the structure right now. Nice. Well, he'll either lose his whole port or make a lot of money. They call LNG the Widowmaker for a reason. That's all I really have to say about it. They blew up like another LNG taker over the weekend. I think Russian one. Maybe Ukraine hit it with a drone or some shit. But I mean, there's a lot of natural gas exported from the region, so I'm sure it's pushing up prices. All right, ZOM looks kind of topped out, 160. It doesn't look like there's a lot of buyers to the upside. More profit taking on this push up than on the last test of Gamma Max. Some of the delta and gamma falling off with the quarterly Quarterly expiration. Doesn't look like there's a whole lot more upside. I guess if it breaks above 160, it's got a little bit of room to squeeze off sold calls, but there's a lot more room to the downside on it. IV is still pretty elevated relative to HV. Skews are starting to come down, but they haven't come down substantially or anything, so things could get a lot more bearish from here. Negative premium, so probably call sellers interested in getting IVs down closer to HVs here. Looks like all the IV over the next expirations is to the downside of spot, but IV around spot's fairly flat, so this looks like not very up or down right now. I mean, probably a good opportunity to strangle, but if you wanted to be a little bit more risk averse, I would say maybe don't sell the put side. Call side above like 167.50 seems pretty decent. No, it doesn't look like it's going to be a big mover or anything unless there's a massive slip in oil, but that's unpredictable. So I would say call selling advantage, like call spreads or CCs. I wouldn't buy the underlying here, but if you own the underlying, maybe I'll just leave out CCs. So it's not confusing. Out in this range, like 165 out to 170. Probably like 30 DTE. Something like that. Seems like a pretty good trade on this. Um, but yeah, I mean, bearish if oil drops, but it's the chain. The chain looks fairly stable as it stays slammed into gamma max. DVN's up next. DVN's probably fairly similar to ZOM. Yeah, it's at the top of its curve. Stable, sitting on a ton of stabilizing positive gamma. This one's a little safer to sell strangles on, it looks like, but let me just double check skew. Yeah, this one's definitely safer to sell strangles on. Vols to the downside, but to the downside of 45, so not an at the money risk. Yeah, this is a little blown out, so it might be like you want to sell the call side first and then wait for it to fail and find support before selling the put side. But you could definitely sell some kind of strangle on this while it sits on top of all of that gamma. Same downside risk on the macro front though, being so energy exposed. So that one's pretty simple. Usually a lot less options volume than ZOM on DVN. Hims looks like a fade. I don't know how much downside range there is on this, but looks like the market's fading the breakout. It's at support right now at 22. There's more support at 20 and 21 and 20. So a little bit of downside support. Some of that's calls. Those could fall off. So it could potentially slip 20. Puts are getting more expensive. There's quite a positive spread on implied vol out on the 30-day. Even more negative premium on the 10-day. So pretty bearish. Definitely favors long gamma. Looks like if it loses 21, breaks down pretty hard. But under 19, gamma starts to flatten out, so harder for it to move under 19. Not impossible. Flattens out a little bit under 20. Flattens out a bunch more under 19. Then it starts to flatten a lot as you get close to the gamma flip there. Down by gamma neutral, which is around 1578. So I wouldn't be surprised if it mean reverted back and filled the gap. It could. Definitely bearish bets on it though. I don't really think there's an advantage just selling the call, buying the put here, but there might be an advantage to buying the put, although they are a little pricey. Maybe put debits. I don't love it, but at least you get to finance it a little bit. NVIDIA. It's pretty bad. Slipping under GN. Delta still falling off the chain. Gamma's moving negative. There's a little bit of support at 70. It's like 65, 60, and 55. $61.50 for Delta. Skews are starting to fall again. IV's getting higher, so volatility return premium is not positive yet, but it's getting there. It is very positive on the 10-day, however, but the 30 days almost at zero. IV's skewed to the downside on this week's expiration, and next, and the week after, and into the end of the month, and beyond that. Things look pretty bearish across most of the surface. There's room for this to drop, but the decline in gamma as you move negative falls off pretty hard. 60 looks like a decent bottom. Maybe 65. Calls are being sold to the upside. Looks like some in the money put buying. So yeah, bearish. As far as pricing goes here, I mean, I guess you could like sell. Maybe it's like worth it to, since the IV is so high on the 10-day, maybe it's worth it like sell the 10-day call, buy the 30 plus DTE put while it's still cheap. Yeah, that was just the setup of positioning going into GTC. So I went long on NVIDIA last Monday. And that was awesome. That paid out really well. But it was just like the next day and then over it. And skews shifted pretty dramatically, more bearish from that point till now. The market's been selling off pretty hard, and NVIDIA is very, very heavily weighted in the index, so it's a lot of drag. But yeah, It was just the spike on Monday, and then it's dumped ever since. So basically, the bulls just probably took profit on the upside spike when they announced $1 trillion in revenue or whatever for next year. Sounds like bullshit. It seems like the market felt like it was, and that sell-off looks like it's set to continue down another like $7 to $12 before there's any real stability. PBR? I don't think I have anything on PBR here. No, we gotta go over to TradingView for that one. PBR sold off pretty hard on Friday. I think they pitched a plan to buy back one of their refineries. It's obviously very expensive. So I got to pull back towards support, but finding support a little bit higher. I don't know the terms of this deal, so I can't really tell you much more than that. But back under like 1850 looks pretty fucking bearish. Obviously, oil price increases are going to stabilize or support this. So if you get a turnaround, maybe back above $19, you could confirm that at least some reversal towards like 1920 is taking like 19. Well, I guess like 1980 up here, out to like 20 or higher. But yeah, I don't know any of the terms of the deal, so it may just continue to sell off. It sold off pretty fucking hard on Friday. UNH. Ooh, gross. This looks fucking terrible. Slipping delta neutral Friday. Delta's bleeding off the chain. There's a little bit of a snapback in gamma, but I don't think that's really helping anything. Looks like sold puts at 200 probably getting squeezed. Next stop's 270 to the downside, and then this can just run off like all the way back down to like fucking 200. There's really not any significant resistance to the downside move. I'll check out Delta too, but maybe here at like 250 there's a little bit of support. I don't really know if this would count as one. This will depend on momentum, but 250, 260 miles, like minor supports. I don't really think 270 is too big a one. But this might be trapped right now, so maybe 270 confirm. And then you have two $10 downside ranges to play from there. Maybe just forget the big breakdown because that's probably not very pertinent right now. I mean, it's losing 270, not like 269.99 for those of you guys that don't know. You need to fall below 270 and hold to confirm that it's lost, but 270 would be the downside confirm here. Upside breakout and 280 or higher. Resistance up at 300. Minor resistance up at 300, but some. I would say the chain looks bearish as fuck, so probably continued downside. Oop. Whoops. Did it again. Go to Apple, which probably has a much better options chain. Apple, the only company not investing billions and billions of dollars into building data centers. So that might be... oh. There we go. Looks like it's pulled back to GN. GN pulled back a little Friday. Gamma moved up. This might be a bounce. 240 is the technical level. 239.50. Yeah, there's some support at 245. A move back out above 250 is bullish. Out to, was that 270? Failure at 245 is pretty easy move down to 230. So 45 and 50, or sorry, 40 and 50. Wait. 50? 40, no, yeah, it's 45. 245, 250. Bull, and then breakout. Break, and then, under here, bear. Not a ton of range on the downside. It's like 15 down here and almost 50 to the upside. I'm going to take a look at skew here too. It's like 10-day puts priced up a bit on Friday, but not too much of a change in 30-day premiums. That's flat day over day. There's a bit of a positive spread, which might draw in some put sellers on the 30-day. A much more positive spread on the 10, but 10-day skew got worse. This is slightly bearish bias on this. Not a shitload of downside room, but I guess if 45 were lost, a little bit more opens up. Right now it's holding, but for 50 breakout is bullish on that. Oh, am I still in trading view? Sorry. Here, we'll redraw the Apple one. So support, resistance, breakdown, breakout. I'm sure Google will look the same as like generally most of the tech stocks have pretty similar profiles. I'm working, so I can't watch live, but if you have time, I did DVN already, JCar. Got you. All right. MU. So yeah, MU's also kind of stable at spot. 420 and 17 supports. Looks like 25-30 resistance. Breakouts out above 30. Breakdown is below 217.50. Which makes this range kind of choppy between 420 and 427.50. Yeah, I would confirm 415 downside, 430 upside. And then positionally, things look kind of bearish. Skew's been falling off for a few days. IVs are above HV, so you got positive VRP on both of those, which encourages some call selling. Vol skewed to the downside. out for the next 30 days at least, and falling, and vols skews pretty low, so puts aren't cheap here. Pretty clean breakdown in gamma until things start to flatten out around 400. Looks like puts bought, calls sold. So yeah, pretty bearish. PCT. God. Shit, $7 stock. Looks like I caught some support under gamma neutral or delta neutral, pushed up. Not a lot of gamma or delta on the chain, which isn't a great look. Seems to be centered way below spot. Gamma is flat out to the $10 test if this bounce continues, but there is kind of incremental resistance. So the test of 10 would probably need a breakout of 8 to the downside. A little bit of support at 5, some at 3. This looks pretty bullish. Put selling probably somewhat encouraged here. I mean, people have already been doing that, but I think there's a little bit of room to keep selling puts. Not a ton of gamma falling off to the downside, but plenty of gain to the up. So slightly bullish. Breakout above let's break out above 6 here. 650. Probably bullish to the upside. Might just be fine because it found support above 5. But yeah, there's really nothing stopping price from moving up here. Not till you get out to like 10 bucks, which is probably a little bit short of gamma max. So above 6, push out to 10, maybe like above 620 if you really wanted to be careful. Tesla. Tesla looks like dog shit. I guess gamma's falling with spot still, but VN's continuing to push up closer to spot. That's not a good look. So duration's backing off the chain. There's a little bit of support at 370, 60, 50 to the downside. Seems true with the delta. There's upside resistance at 80 and a little bit at 390. Puts keep pricing up pretty consistently, so that's pretty bearish. Huge spreads on VRP, especially the 30-day. So lots of options selling, advantageous there. And not a ton more room to the downside. So I'd imagine it probably sees a lot of sold puts around that 260 mark. 260 down to 250. The trajectory on it is not bullish by any means. You guys wanted to look at Lonza? Lonza's just running because of the jet fuel prices. Largely. I mean, their earnings was good. I wasn't dissatisfied with it. There's still a ton of dilution risk, especially with the stock up this high now. I think the expected earnings for next quarter came in, and those weren't very promising. Got a nice run, broke up, but there's probably a lot of profit taking around this like $20 to $30 range, especially because I think this is like one of the highest prices since it split. So I would expect this to pull back some. Support at 18. Support at 1850 would be pretty bullish if it continued to push up from there. So maybe look to the downside for support. If you're just straight long, I mean, I sold mine. I expect they'll need more financing. So, but yeah, I would look out here for support, like there or down here, somewhere in that range. If it catches a bounce here, maybe a sign of accumulation and a continued push to the upside. This will benefit from oil prices staying higher as it reevaluates a bit. There's no float on it, so it's a fast mover. It means it'll drop really fast too. And it's a NASDAQ listed stock, so don't forget, after they squeeze, the automated MMs are very good at netting off all of that exposure very quickly. So don't be surprised if this pulls back like quite hard. This isn't inverse Head and Shoulders though, so any support above 1827 would be bullish back to the upside again. And then, I mean, I don't have options for this one, so it's about the best I can give you. SMCI. Big sell-off after earnings puts the chain in a pretty bearish spot. Shitload of Delta and Gamma fell off. There's some support at 20. We could start to see if things stabilize around there, but there's still a ton of downside momentum on this. I would want to see if puts price up quite a bit after the gap down. They didn't on Friday, so it seems like people are buying into the bounce. Looks like IV10 fucking skyrocketed. So, I mean, that's a risk reversal setup, like a fairly strong one. I would say if this gets out back above 25, it's going to take off. Spot is now, yeah, not much more room to the downside. So maybe confirm an upside break around like 22, or you could wait till it gets out to 24. But it does look like people are buying the risk reversal pretty hard. I don't think people care about their shady accounting practices all that much, to be honest. It looks like they're buying far out of the money. Maybe like out in the 30s, and those look mostly like weekly positions. Looks like somebody sold the fuck out of the 20 put. Took some profits on the 22, 23. Possibly someone selling the 25 out in, what is that? July. Probably just willing buyers at 25. I don't know if I'd read into that too much, but yeah, it could get a bounce here. Maybe a small one. I would definitely be careful of trying to play downside continuation without some mean reversion though. Given that it sold off so hard, so fast. I mean, like maybe just a snap back towards 25 and GN. It's still a decent move if you can capture it though. Back above 25 would be pretty bullish again though. That would be like you'd be looking to fill the gap. Campbell Soup. I mean, options analysis on this is going to be fucking worthless, but we can take a look at the chart. There's usually no fucking delta on this chain at all. Yeah, it's falling off. It spiked a bit on the downside move. Looks like VN's coming back down again, so things are probably stabilizing. I mean, maybe if you want to own CPV long term, this is like a good place to sell puts. It's very cheap right now relative to its previous pricing. I mean, this is the cheapest it's been in fucking years. since like 2017. You might want to look for signs of increasing delta on the chain as people sell puts. I mean, they're definitely selling some, probably 21.20. Pretty sure the dividend yield's still pretty good. These prices is probably really good. CPV volatility smile. 30-day skew recovered. So puts got quite a lot cheaper there. 10-day kind of recovered and snapped back. Historic vol hasn't started to fall yet, but it probably will as more puts are sold. Yeah, I think this looks stable. Probably a decent put selling opportunity. I don't know if I'd want to. I guess if you'd want to buy it, this is a decent price. There's not a lot more room to the downside. I mean, you might be able to get it for like 19 or 20, but it's not too much of a difference from 21. See what other people are doing. Probably puts at spot, puts below spot. Yeah, so probably like some put selling out here in June. Looks like some moderate put selling, or May, and some moderate put selling of the June expiry. Looks like some profits taken on 26 puts. On the call side, well, there's definitely some call buyers at 21. Looks like out to 23 on the weekly, and then 22 and 24 out in like May, June, July. So that looks kind of, I mean, not necessarily up, but probably not down a lot more. I'd imagine anybody interested in CBP is looking to buy it for the long term. I wouldn't say that the support looks that durable, but it does look somewhat durable. It looks like a decent number of other participants feel the same way. So I don't hate it. Maybe I'll buy my Campbell's back. I do like Campbell's. And if we deploy boots to the ground, Campbell's will be a beneficiary of that. They make a bunch of disgusting food that we'd only feed to people in the military or prison. I wonder how many boxes of Swanson, like chicken broth, forward deployed Marine base goes through in a day. Or jars of Prego. Probably a lot. Why not progressive? What? What are you talking about? Is their goal to become a bank? Change your long-term view of them? I think they're just trying to find a better way to structure their debt products that nobody's paying off. All of those like high risk loans that they were doing so well on, those are a liability now with the economy starting to suffer, which I've been saying about them for some time. I mean, I feel like I did call the top on Upstart. I still like their management and everything as a company, but they've got a rough road ahead of them given the credit conditions. We're not feeding the military Progresso soup. Progresso's the fancy soup. Progressive is the insurance company. They're getting lobster tails now, but when they start getting shot at in a month, believe me, they're getting cream of mushroom fucking What are those things called that Midwesterners eat where they put it like, it's just like they put a bunch of shit in a pan and pour like soup in it? Casserole. That's the word I'm thinking of. Yeah, they're going to get casseroles. And you know who makes casseroles? Or at least all the ingredients for a casserole? Campbell Soup. Yeah, I already said it. You don't sound smart saying it in chat after I said the word. Am I out of pretzels? This is bullshit. If you guys aren't poor, though, I highly recommend whatever these are. They're like, I don't know, they're like $8 a bag Whole Foods snacks. Pretzels. But they're like weedy. Very good. I don't know. I don't fucking eat lasagna either. All right, time for Microsoft. Ooh. Interesting. Those calls. Damn. People are buying up the dip on Microsoft. They're getting fucked on it, too. It doesn't seem to be stopping them. Shitload of puts sold to the downside. Big supports at 370, 80 spot. A little bit of resistance above spot, but then a fairly clean breakout towards 400. And was that like 405? If 405's gained, it could continue to march up too. Yeah. I wouldn't want to be short Microsoft right now because it doesn't seem anybody else wants to be. Let's see what skews look like. Probably up. Shockingly, 30-day really not moving that much, but volatility return premiums positive on the 30. It's probably encouraging some call buying. No, the move from negative is kind of showing us some call buying, I think. 10-day skew mean reverted back, like, so puts price back up on Friday. But it seems like the trend is just, everybody buying the dip on this. So shitloads of buy the dip. Not a ton of room to the downside. Obviously 370 would be a better position to go long from, but it may not fall that low. Gamma's holding slightly positive. And then rockets, like actually fucking rockets to the upside out to like 405 before it starts to flatten out. Looks like mostly put selling. Some in the money put buying. 385 out to 90. These probably aren't. Well, they might be sold. They might be selling them now. The VRP, well, these might be sold like further out. The 385, 390 puts. It's like the deeper in the money shit's closing. I don't know about the 400s. Maybe the 400 puts are being sold too. Those look bought. All of these calls. This is, I mean, really not any significant advantage to selling calls on this here, but probably sold puts, bought calls. So everybody piling into the risk reversal. That may not come to fruition, and I will say that if it falls under 370, that's bearish as fuck, but probably support. Some kind of at least a bounce with a relief rally or something like that, and decent range on it too. That's kind of bullish. I wouldn't mind maybe taking my chances with that one. I wouldn't want to stay in it long after it bounced, but I do like the price of options is relatively cheap given the potential range. Intel. That's the OI heat map. So changes in OI by strike and date. Intel's got a little bit of support. This doesn't look as bearish. I mean, hard to say what it's going to look like after tomorrow. A lot of these are going to show Delta falling off because a shitload of options just expired with the quarterly OPEX. But I mean, it looks like support at like 43 is pretty stable. It's been holding up for a few days. This is the second downside test of that level. Some options selling off on Friday. There's some support at 43, 42, some support at 40. Big support at 40. Resistance at 45. So probably local trading range. Breakout at 40 is bullish. Or 45, sorry. So 45 out to 50. This is mostly chop. I don't know if that has a bearish bias or not, but we'll find out in a minute. Yeah, it does. Skew's been drifting down pretty consistently. IVs are slightly elevated above HV, so positive spread on the 10 and 30 VRP. So I think we're seeing a lot of call selling to the upside of spot, put buying to the downside out to like 34, 36. Where's the fucking April OPEX? 40. So slightly bearish, down to about 40, 39, and then the fall off in gamma flattens out. So you need more bearish positioning to come in, or IV to start spiking harder. Looks like puts being bought. They may be selling the 40-51, but I doubt it. Maybe calendars. It looks like calls just being sold all across the chain to the upside, all the way out to like 52. So yeah, bearish bias down to 40 or 39. GME. Ew. It finally fell off its pin at Gamma Max, so I'd imagine some of the charm from out of the money sold calls pushed this down a bit. I don't know if that will continue past the quarterly expiration. It looks like there's still a lot of positioning pinning up at 25. Support's at 22 and 21. Slip below that, there's no support. Not till you get down to 20, and then a little bit at 15. So pretty thin downside, big resistances to the upside. Skews rising, so people are buying the dip on the 10 and the 30 day. There's a pretty decent sell side advantage to calls. Historic vol is insanely low. This is actually generally a really good time to go long GME when 30-day historic vol starts to bottom out. Usually it doesn't drop more than like 21 before put sellers step in, and you get a lot of call buyers on it to leverage out the sold call positions. That makes it like a little squeezy when that happens. You generally get like a big spike in vol. But yeah, I mean, options. The only problem I have is the options aren't priced that great relative to that drop in historic vol. So the IVs are relatively high, even though HVs are pretty low. So maybe still room for some of that spread to collapse. I don't know if they have earnings coming up. Maybe. Is that their earnings this week on the 24th? XRT is pretty negative. Yeah, this could be somewhat bullish. I mean, I just don't like the IV price. So I would say IV probably needs to reprice after earnings. If there's like no big announcement, IV's going to crush super hard, and then it can fall off that last little bit, like down to 20, maybe 19, and then that would be an interesting opportunity to buy. XRT correlation starting to turn around into the ETF FTD period, but that's not until the end of the like end of the month into the start of next month. So no mechanical positive pressure. I would probably sell the IV into earnings and then see if I could capitalize on the crush by going long the post earnings sell off. But I'm sure there's like something anticipated. I mean, I can see it priced in. I don't know what the fuck it is. I'm just like Ryan Cohen's like jerked off on a cracker and no one knows who's gonna eat it. But that's what I got for GMA. Let's go SoFi. Ew. Looks bearish as fuck. Big IV, big positive spreads and implied vol, so everybody's just selling a shitload of calls on this probably. It looks like they are at 20. It's got room to keep falling back to like 16 or 15. Delta, support on Delta is down at 15. A little bit at 16. If 15 fails, it can drop pretty hard. Yeah, looks dumpy. Delta's bleeding off the chain like crazy over the last few months, so everyone's just abandoning the options chain on it, and I would imagine most of the calls to the upside are being sold off. And let's see, yeah, even at spot, I think they're selling these calls, but the 20 calls getting sold like crazy. Seems like on the weekly and next weekly, nobody's really having a problem selling the 17s and stuff. Not a lot of in the money call OI. And it does look like out of the money puts, so maybe they're selling the 16 put, 15 put. So somewhat of a strangle. It'll be hard for it to fall, but if it slips under gamma neutral, the short puts will get squeezed out. If it pops up, the calls might get squeezed out to 20. So it's got like $2 of downside range, $3 of upside range. I would probably confirm that one of those positions got squeezed out before wanting to go long or short, but it looks pretty fucking boring, and it seems like the advantage is to strangle it. DBA. Oh, great. No ticker. Thanks, Nito. Did you request the options for this? Oh, this is the agriculture fund. Fuck you. No macro. Didn't you read the thing? No macro. I don't want to talk about, the skyrocketing cost of fucking fertilizer. Did you hear me? The skyrocketing cost of fertilizer until the Strait of Hormuz is reopened, which it never will be. Well, that's not true. It's just going to take a few years. Maybe our president will be willing to publicly announce his intent to commit war crimes. Riley? Ooh, that's neat. Riley looks like it's stabilizing. Maybe it was starting to pick up some interest. I'm sure the macro shocks haven't been favorable to bulls looking to buy into this. I mean, Riley's like an investment fund, so but over 750 bullish. This could still retreat back to 5, especially if it slips this little bit of support here. It looks like five's the next stop to the downside. I don't know if the options chain matters much, but it's bullishly skewed. Sellers probably coming in at spot. There's enough supportive gamma. $10 looks like kind of the upside cap. Yeah, looks like put sellers at 255 and 750. Looks like that near term gamma's probably sold puts right around spot, taking advantage of the VRP there. Call buyers look to be structurally out to the upside, but some at 7 also. So risk reversal, buy in, some people targeting 10, some in between. So slightly bullish. Just probably having a hard time picking up enough interest to really move the underlying. Delta's not great. But I imagine post quarterly. So if you check it like tomorrow night, like the post quarterly positioning after everything's expired, should ease up some of the pressure from previously sold calls too, as those get exercised off or closed out. In the money calls from back here, from like back in beginning of March, those are probably getting exercised. I would say the out of the money calls that were sold on the upside moves are probably closing out, and that's why we see the dip in Delta. So as people reposition, it may be a little bit more bullish, a little bit less downside pressure on the underlying. Yeah, the extension might not matter though. I mean, at least not in the short term. And then AVGO, testing delta neutral on Friday. Gamma slowly slipping negative. Looks bearish. Looks like there's downside targets at 300 and 280. This can continue to slip. Most of the delta support around 280. A little bit at 290. The only thing that would be moderately bullish here would be holding spot, and even that would be just kind of neutral. Skews starting to steepen after kind of snapping back. 10-day skews dropping like a rock. So people pricing in the short-term downside protection, or pricing up the short-term downside protection. Skews definitely to the downside here. Probably a good amount of call selling. Negative gamma. It looks like that bottoms out around 282, 285. Calls look like they're being sold heavily to the upside. Put spot to the downside with big put buying at 307.50 and 287.50. So kind of bearish. I mean, weighted heavily enough in the index, but there's a downside gap to fill from back here on September 4th, and then support below that around 280, which is roughly where the positioning's targeting as well. So the technical level here to the downside is probably fairly important. I would say a slip of delta neutral opens up that test. And that's the last one. So, anything else? Any other questions? I got like 1 minute. I'll cover macro and the index tonight and Pickle's picks. I'll try to get it done earlier if I can, but I'll probably start working on it around like 7 or 8. So finish at like midnight to 1 a.m. maybe. Palantir, didn't they just announce a new contract with the federal government? So probably bullish. I mean, that was announced, I think, Friday after close, if I'm not mistaken. So I think you'll try to scalp it, but you'll probably miss most of the move in the morning session. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for tuning in, guys. What's up, Jay Fresh? How you doing, man? All right. How's the weight loss stuff going? Good. Kind of plateauing a little bit, but I haven't been going out and exercising much because it's been cold. But no, I haven't gained any weight. Staying off. I think I'm like 260 now, so I got to drop like 30 more pounds. Cheers. All right, catch